This is our third video for Chapter 1. This is Chapter 1, Section 3, Understanding Decimals. What you'll learn in this video is to read, write, and round decimals. Remember, standard form of numbers just means written in digits. So 238 in standard form is the numbers 2, 3, and 8. The only term you need to define from this video is expanded form. When you see it in the video, be sure to pause and write down the definition in your notebook. Decimal numbers allow you to write very precise values. In sports, the difference between first place and second place sometimes depends on decimal places. You can extend the place value chart to include values for decimal places. When you read a decimal that is greater than 1, read the decimal point as and. This is an example of a number chart extended into decimal places. Your basic number chart will have hundreds, tens, and ones. But once you go into decimals, you are adding tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, and even up to millions. The thing to remember about decimal places is the first one starts with tenths. There is no ones place once you get into decimals. Let's look at an example of writing a decimal in words. Say the price of a gallon of gas is $2.459. We're going to write 2 and 459 thousandths in words. We'll begin by writing it into a place value chart. The 2 is in our ones place. And is for a decimal point. And then we have 3 more numbers. So the 4 goes in the tenths, the 5 goes in the hundredths, and the 9 goes in the thousandths. Wherever the last number is indicates what you would say. So because the 9 is in the thousandths, we'll say 459 thousandths. If there was only the 4 and the 5, it would be 45 hundredths. Whatever decimal place you say is decided by wherever the last number lies. Pause the video and write these 3 decimals in words in your notebook. Be sure to number your work and be sure to use all of the words, and remember, when you see the decimal point, use the word and. You can write decimals in both standard form and expanded form. Expanded form is a sum that shows the place value of each digit of a number. So in standard form, 75 hundredths would be 0.75. But in expanded form, you are writing out the value of each digit. So the value of the 7 is 7 tenths, plus the value of the 5, which is 5 hundredths. Let's look at an example of standard form and expanded form. At a gymnastics meet, the best score on the pommel horse was 9 and 42 thousandths. We're going to write the score in standard form and in expanded form. So first we need write the whole number part. So with 9 and, so the 9 is what goes in our ones place because it's what is in front of the and. Then we know thousandths is 3 places to the right of the decimal point, so we can go ahead and put 3 marks down to know that we have to fill all 3 of those holes. Then if it's 42 thousandths, we're going to start from the right and write the 42 there, because we know wherever the last number lands decides what the decimal place is. And since we don't have a number to fill into that last hole, we just fill it with a 0. So in standard form, it's 9.042. In expanded form, again, we say it for each individual value, it would be 9 plus 4 hundredths plus 2 thousandths. pause the video and do this one in your notebook. Remember to number your work, and they want it in words, or they're giving it to you in words, and they want it in standard form and expanded form. Rounding decimals is similar to rounding whole numbers. Say we want to round 0.32 to the nearest tenth. So you're going to look to the value to the right of the 3 is less than 5, so we'll round down to the nearest tenth of 0.3. If we had 0.36 instead, the value to the right of the 3 is greater than 5, so we round up to 0.4. Let's look at another way to see the rounding. Rather than just thinking if it's greater than or less than 5, you can physically count the number of spaces. So say we wanted to do 0.13 rounded to the nearest tenth. So 0.13 is right here. So which one is it closer to? You can physically count to see who's closer. We can go 1, 2, 3 places to get to 0.1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places to get to 0.2. It's obviously much farther away to get to 0.2 than it is to simply go back to 0.1. If we look at another one, give me a chance to erase all of this, all my writing. So what if we had one that was smack in the middle? So if we have 0.5 or 0.15, so 0.15 or 0.15. Well, here we're in the middle, right? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on one side and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the other side. The rules for math, just because they're the rules for math, if you're smack in the middle, if you're on the 5, you always round up. I guess they figure it's easier to go up than down. I don't know. But those are just the rules for math. So if you can't think, okay, I'm not sure which one it's closer to, write out a number line for yourself. There's a lot of things in math that if you're struggling with it and if you would just make a number line, it would be much clearer for you. Now pause the video and round these 3 in your notebook. Be sure you're rounding to the underlined place that it gives you. So for A, you're rounding to hundredths. B, you're rounding to 10,000ths. And C, you're rounding to tenths. Now it's time to check your understanding. Be sure to label it as check your understanding in your notebook and number all your work and show all your work where applicable. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.